Hey, 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 my beautiful friends. Okay, so I'm super stoked to chat with you guys today. And this idea for a nutrition bootcamp call actually came from, shout out to my best friend Blake. We were chatting last week, and he was like, I think it'd be really cool if you did like a nutrition bootcamp call around like having your spouse's support and what to do if you don't have it, and what to do if you do have it, and just kind of do like a spousal support call. So that is exactly what we're going to do today, because I've had so many people in the past. Oh my gosh, how awesome for you that your husband actually does this with you. That must make things so easy, so fabulous, so whatever. And all the yes, it does make it fabulous. It does make life so much easier. And spoiler alert, it did not start that way. Okay, so a little backstory. Blake and I next month are celebrating our 10-year anniversary. I've loved Beachbody workouts longer than I've loved him. I've loved Beachbody workouts since I was 17 years old. I met Blake when I was 19. He knew me and came into the relationship with me already doing Turbo Fire workouts all the time. And that was like one of the first things we ever did together with his family. Like I invited them to work out with me and whatever, right? He supported me. He was kind and nice and whatever, but he was very much like, I'm gonna go play volleyball, or I'm gonna join a soccer team, or I'm gonna do my thing. I am not gonna do those workouts with you. Thanks though. And it took 6 years. 6 years. 6 years. Okay, so unless you've been following me for 10 years, you don't know that. And like I said, we're about to celebrate our 10-year anniversary. So maybe you've been following me for the last 4 or whatever. And so all you've ever seen is this fabulous Blake who works out with me, but that is not how it started. That is not how it started. So I want to give a little bit of thoughts around, okay, when your spouse isn't necessarily supporting your workout and your nutrition choices, what you can do. And then also the flip side of, okay, when your spouse is supporting you, what can you do? And how can you keep it that way, right? And with all that said, I am not a marriage counselor. I am not a therapist. I do not have any special licensing in any of these things. This is just Bryn's personal opinion and sharing my own personal experience and letting you glean your own wisdom from my life experience. Cool. Just wanted to put that little precursor out there. Okay. So the things that I found that when Blake was not supporting me, and by not supporting me, I mean not doing it with me. He was always supportive of my choices. He always wanted me to do it. He was never like, turn that stupid thing off, right? Like he was never that husband. I just want to make that loud and clear. Okay. He just never wanted to do it with me. He was fine with me doing it. Didn't want to do it with me though. And nutrition programs, nope, you can do it, but I don't want to do it with you. Cool. So the very first tip that I have for you, if you're in that boat, is to just lead by example. It was one of those for 6 years. I still pushed play by myself. And he saw me. He would sleep in. I would wake up early. 90% of the time he would walk in while I was working out. Yep. And I just did it. And I will be completely honest. I was not as consistent as I am now. When I was doing it by myself, I was not a 6 or 7 days a week person. I was a 3 to 5 days a week person before he was really doing it with me. But I still did it. And I just continued to show up. I continued to exercise. I continued to do it by myself, right? And so that's the first thing I have, is really just lead by example. Okay. The second thing that I have is really, really the most important. And it's totally one of those things that can go in one ear and out the other. So I want to really invite you to listen with humility. Okay. If this is you and you're in this boat, you have 2 choices. You can either be the victim or you can be the victor. And what I mean by that is you can play the woe is me card, of I can't be successful because my husband doesn't support me and he's not going to do it with me. And he just thinks I look ridiculous. And he says all sorts of weird things about me. And he just brings candy into the house all the time. And right. And hopefully you don't talk like that, but you get my point. Okay. My cute husband, love him dearly. And he's on right now. So I don't know if he's listening because he wasn't connected to audio for a bit, but he knows all the things that I'm about to share. He loves candy. He loves candy. Guess what? We still have candy in our pantry right now, downstairs, because guess what? He still loves candy. Okay. So I could play the whole, well, it's my husband's fault that I'm not 15 pounds lighter because he doesn't support me. He brings all this junk into the house, right? Or whatever. And I could totally play that card. P.S. I'm the one who buys it. I buy it for him. So really, I can't play that card, right? So I could be the victim and blame him for my lack of success, or I can be the victor and make sure that when I am buying that candy for my husband, because he likes candy, that I'm not buying the things that I have a hard time saying no to. He loves Reese's. I don't love Reese's. I love Sour Patch Kids and Sour Patch Watermelon and Swedish Fish and gummy bears and chocolate covered cinnamon bears and Almond Joy. You wave one of those and Flamin' Hot Cheetos. You give me one of those things and I am like, all the yes. I have a hard time saying no. You bring me some donuts and some Reese's peanut butter cups and I'm like, no, I'm okay. Like they're good, but nah, I'm okay. Right? So really having that gut check with yourself. Are you bringing home the things that tempt you the most and blaming him for it? Or are you living in your own truth of, I am in charge of me and no one can choose to make me happy or sad or mad or angry or frustrated. That is me and my choice alone. Right? And take that responsibility upon yourself. Of course, it makes life easier when you have someone cheering you on in your corner and making life super fabulous and easy for you. But guess what? That's not life, right? Like that's not life. And just a little like example of that. Okay. Me and my husband, we're doing Ultimate Reset together. That's like a 3-week Beachbody, really hard nutrition cleanse. Okay. And we were doing it together. Okay. So it was awesome. Yay. We're doing it together. And we still had an outside force who will remain nameless, who bought donuts for our kids and got us a whole dozen donuts for our kids for breakfast. We have 3 kids and our oldest was 4 at the time. A 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a baby do not need a dozen donuts. And we were on like day 13 of this cleanse and they knew full freaking well that we were doing this cleanse. We were both a little pissed. Okay. There will still, whether it's your husband or your friend or your neighbor or your in-laws or your parents or your siblings or your cousins or your whatever, you can be the victim or you can be the victor, right? You can play this card of, oh, I'm not successful because me, or I don't care what anyone says or does. I'm doing this for me. And you can throw all the daggers at me. You can try to thwart my efforts, but I know what I'm doing. I know why I'm here. I'm centered in my purpose and you can't touch me, right? So tip number 2, are you the victim or the victor? Okay. Number 3. And this was the one that I sucked at really, really hard. Okay. And it wasn't until I flipped this that he actually started to join me. Okay. I totally tried to pull the guilt card on him and to like almost shame him into working out with me. And guess what? It didn't work ever. Not once. Okay. Or if it did, there were a handful of times where it did work, but then I felt really bad because I knew that I had totally guilt tripped him into it. And then he did work out with me, but he totally did it begrudgingly and it wasn't even fun. right? Then I felt bad. He was mad, and it wasn't even worth it, right? So it wasn't until I just constantly invited and constantly invited and constantly invited and constantly kept showing up for me, right? And not playing the it's all your fault that I can't be successful card. And don't you care about your health? And don't you want to be around for our family? And don't you want to spend time with me? Like, stop that. And just, hey, I'm going to go work out. Do you want to do it with me? Okay, cool. Hey, I'm going to go work out. I'm doing this program. It's new. Do you want to try it? Hey, I'm going to try a new program today. It's a guy, and I've heard really good things about it from my other guy friends who work out. Do you want to try it? Oh, okay, cool. Sounds good, right? And none of the shame game, none of the whatever, just, hey, I'm trying this thing. Do you want to do it? Okay. If not, okay, right? It's not a reflection on me or my worth or our marriage. It's just, I want to work out. I'm going to do this program. I would love it if you wanted to do it with me. If you want to, cool. If not, okay, cool. I love you, right? And just remembering it does not determine your worth, your marriage, whatever, right? Just invite, and that's it. Okay. Laura in the chat said, yes, lead by example. It was a year of me working out every day, no matter what, before Josh said, okay, I'll do this program with you. And that leads me right into what I know Laura did when she and her husband decided to start working out together. And this is exactly what me and my husband did when we decided to start working out together, was she let him pick the program, right? And there are totally the programs that I want to do. Hello, I love me some Bar Blend with Elise Joan and all the ballet and all the affirmations. Blake does not want to do that program with me. Okay, like, no. The first program he did with me was Le 4. And I like that program a lot. It's not my favorite, but he likes it a lot. I like it a lot. I enjoy it. But it was when I finally, what do you want to do? Okay, let's do it. And I know for Laura, she asked, what do you want to do? And he wanted to throw it back to P90X3. And she was like, that is not what I want to do. But ultimately, I do want to work out with you. So, okay, right? Okay, sounds good. We'll do this, right? And the times that Blake and I have done a program together where I've let him lead, it's been really rad because he's the one motivating me to like, all right, let's do this. Like, let's go push play, right? When I let him pick the one that we're going to do next. And sure, I'm the coach. Sure, I'm the one that's been around for 13 years. Sure, I'm the one that knows all the Beachbody programs in and out. Sure, I'm the one with more experience, but that doesn't really matter sometimes, right? Just, okay, I'm letting you take the wheel. What do you want to do? Right? And it's been really powerful. It's been really powerful. With that said, also, I want to read what Laura said in the chat. Laura said, yep, we did P90X3, and then he was willing to do 645 with me, right? So it's totally that like marital give and take, right? Give and take, give and take, give and take. You give 100, you expect 0, and then guess what? The same thing happens, right in return. With what I just said, though, there's also been really beautiful moments in our marriage when, you know what? I really want to do 80-day obsession. And I know you don't like autumn. I'm still going to do 80-day obsession and let you do whatever you want. And honestly, I don't remember what Blake did in that moment. I don't even know if he remembers what he did in that moment. But I did 80-day obsession because I wanted to. And we didn't work out together for 80 whole days, right? And it was okay because he worked out on his own and I worked out on my own. We were still working out. We still had this beautiful habit of working out, but we didn't necessarily always have to be working out side by side together. And I felt like in those moments, there was a lot of beautiful growth of, yes, we're still working out together, but we're working out on our own still, so that we're pushing and motivating ourselves and we're growing together, just not together at the same time, right? And same thing when I was pregnant with Ellie, bar blend came out, and I really, really wanted to do bar because I knew it was going to be a super pregnant friendly workout. And he was like, no, I'm not doing that with you. Right. And so that's when he wanted to do 6 weeks of the work, because it had just come out too. And I was like, I can't. I am like 6-7 months pregnant at this point. Like, there's no way. I'm awesome, but not that awesome. Right. And so it was one of those beautiful moments of, okay, you do your thing and I'll do mine. And that is when he got the very best results he's ever had, was doing 6 weeks of the work by himself. Right. And of course, I'm over here like 8 months pregnant, and I'm like, why are you getting so ripped? Right. Getting totally bugged at him, but it was so great at the same time. And I saw his confidence like skyrocket, because I would come home and he pushed play because he wanted to push play, not because I forced him to. Right. So knowing that beautiful give and take in your own marriage, and when it is, you know what, I think it's the right time for us to do something together. And you know what, I think it's the right time for us to do something apart. Right. And giving both yourselves and each other that give and take, right? And it doesn't have to be one size fits all. Now that we are working out together, we must always work out together forever, and that's all for the rest of time, right? It's okay to also not work out together, right? So with that said as well, there is a quote by, I don't know who originally said it. I think it was Tony Robbins, but I hear Brad Bizjack say it all the time. But he says, when you switch your expectations for appreciation, your life will change in an instant. And I know that there have been times when, even though the last 4 years Blake's been working out with me, I know there's been times that instead of appreciating the fact that he's working out with me, I just expect him to. And then sometimes when those expectations aren't met, I go back to that shaming, guilt tripping version of myself. Right. And so then I have to catch myself and no, this is not a given that he's going to work out with you forever. Appreciate the fact that he does, and thank him often for working out with you. Make sure you are giving him quality time in those moments. Make sure you're communicating how grateful you are that he woke up with you today, that he worked out with you today. Right. Like, and it doesn't have to be giant, right? Just those little moments of, thank you for working out with me. Let's take a sweaty selfie, right? Like, whatever. Honestly, it hardly ever is giant. And honestly, I could probably do better at it. Best friend, I love you. And I am so thankful that you work out with me so much, right? But really, truly, just stop the expectation of it and just really, truly appreciate and communicate that appreciation however they need that, right? And that goes back to love languages, right? Maybe they want a little gift for how awesome they are. And maybe that's, here's a new workout shirt and it's pink, so you can rock Wednesdays we wear pink with us. Or here's a new shaker cup so that you can actually tell the difference between mine and yours, right? Or here's some new workout shoes because I know yours have not been working that great, right? Or whatever, right? Maybe it's a note. Maybe it's words of affirmation. Maybe it's just that quality time of spending time together and giving him those uninterrupted moments, right? And whatever that looks like, but just not letting it turn into, I expect him to do this with me, and I'm going to turn into that mean, shaming, guilt tripping person if he doesn't. And instead just constantly trying to be conscious and aware of that appreciation. Yes. And then the last thing that I wanted to share is really just that idea of I'm going to share this analogy, and I promise it'll make sense in a second. So many times in life, right, when we're pushing towards a goal, it's we go and we go and we go and we go. If you're thinking of like football, right? You're trying, you're doing little steps that are the right things, and you're making it and you're making progress, and yay, and I got the goal, and yay, woohoo, right? And then sometimes when we achieve that goal, then we go on defense only. Oh, okay, now I got this goal. Now I'm going to defend it with everything I have, right? And that's kind of what I was talking about with the expectations versus appreciation, but it also can turn into, okay, this is what we've got going, and I'm just going to defend it. And I'm going to make sure he's feeling motivated and excited to work out. And I'm going to make sure that he loves the workout that we're doing. And I'm going to make sure that he feels happy and fulfilled in this, versus what was it that motivated him to start working out with you in the first place? He saw you doing it. He saw the joy it brought you. He saw you slaying your nutrition, even when it was hard, right? And he was inspired by that, right? So don't let it turn into so much of this, I'm going to protect this that we've got, that I forget about myself. And I forget about what it is that got me to that goal, right? The goal was, I want my husband to work out with me. Don't let it turn into, I want my husband to work out with me so much that I'm just going to defend this, and I'm not even going to do the things that got him to work out with me in the first place, right? So just keeping that in mind, always staying on offense, and keep yourself happy, keep your nutrition happy, keep yourself happy, so that you're someone he wants to work out with and not someone he doesn't want to work out with, right? So I want to open the floor, because I feel like I can see some people who are like, maybe I have something to add. So I just want to open the floor. Is there anything anyone wants to add or share? That those who are on live, you can unmute yourself and you can share as well any thoughts that you have about hubbiness. And that's okay if not. I just wanted to give you a chance.
Okay, I totally do. So I started Beachbody workouts with my husband being super supportive, and it was fantastic. We both had goals. His was for work, military. You have to be able to do certain physical stuff for the PT test. Mine was, I had a baby and was not fitting into any of my clothes. And so we both had our goals, and that was awesome because we'd work out in the evening after baby and everyone was in bed. And there were some nights that I'm like, he's like, okay, we're going to work out. And I'm like, you can work out. Like, I am not in the mood. No, thanks. And I was really like about it. But then dang, I'd see him working out. I'm like, okay, fine. And so he would drag me off the couch. and then other days it was switched, that I was the one who was motivated. And it was same thing of like, hey, well, I'm going to work out. So be in the living room. It's up to you, but I'm going to work out. And then he'd end up joining me, kind of thing. And then we both hit our goals. We're both feeling good, and we kind of stopped working out. And so when I picked it up again, it was just me that was wanting to work out. I was wanting to learn more, like the boxing 10 rounds kind of stuff. He had a lot of deployments he was going on. I was on one with 3 kids, and I just wanted to know that I had some like muscle behind me. And that was different, being the one who was waking up by myself early and he would sleep in, and it really was just lead by example. It was eventually, he saw that I was getting results. He saw that I was happier. He saw that, like, I'm not a morning person, but I was willing to wake up for this and I was enjoying it. Like, what am I missing? And now we both work out every single morning, and it's just part of our routine. And it was just example, and it was just commitment. And the days that it felt hard, I was doing it for myself, but I was also doing it for my family. And for those who have kids, like, they see it too. They get to grow up with a mom and a dad taking care of themselves and knowing that that is just what you do every day. They don't have to wait until they're adults learning it. They can just learn it as kids, that it's just part of everyday life to take care of yourself. So
I love that so much. And I totally agree. And there's been so many times, especially with my husband and me working out now, that there are days that we get it in before all 3 kids wake up. And there are days where we do it when they are all awake, and it is mayhem, but we do it still. And it turns into kind of a joke. And somebody's pausing, or somebody's got a kid on their back while they're doing freaking hard push-ups, and like, oh my word, I just don't know that I have the patience for this right now, right? Or we're doing stretches and they're like crawling all up in and around our legs and whatever. But the example that we're setting for our family is everything, right? And even it was just one of those beautiful like turnaround moments yesterday when my daughter was practicing riding her bike. And she's 3 and she was going up a hill, and I just heard her say, I can do it. I am strong. Right. Like as she's going up this hill on her little tricycle. Right. And it was just one of those moments of like, okay, like there are so many days where I'm in the middle of my workout and I ask myself, why, why am I doing this with all of them awake? Right. And then I have moments like that where I'm like, oh, that's why. Because this is so much bigger than just me. Right. And yes, it blesses me and my health and my mentality and my focus and my strong muscles and all the things, right? But it also is instilling those beautiful habits and beautiful memories in us as a family. And sometimes, like some of my, like probably in my top 10 favorite family memories, probably 3 of them at least involve some sort of workout, right? And so when you have that beautifulness with even if you're not married or you're single or whatever, as you lead by example and you're able to do it with your children and you're able to create those memories together, it's beautiful, right? It really is. So I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Anybody else want to share or add anything before we close out the recording?
Would it be okay if I did?
Yeah, girl.
So I don't have a relation or a marriage where this was an example. Instead, I have a daughter who struggled with her weight. In fact, at one point she told me, Mom, I can't believe you didn't tell me I was fat. And I just looked at her and said, you don't tell that to your child. You know what damage that would do? You don't do that. So I just set the example. I'd invite her to walk with me. I'd invite her to do stuff. We started walking together. She saw me still doing my workouts every day. And she joined me. And it has been an example to me now in spiritual ways. So it's been a great give and take. I've been the example of working out and enjoying what I'm doing, and even using foam rolling to help when there's pain. And she's tried a couple of times and it has helped with some of the stuff, but you've got to be that example.
I love that. And I'm so glad you shared, because I know that you are a beautiful example to her, and you're amazing, my friend. You're amazing. Okay. Block A said he wanted to share something. Selma Love, show us your handsome face, because all we see right now is a black screen. Perfect.
You guys hear me? Fine. It's probably a little windy.
Yeah, we can see you.
I mean, just to add to your story and whatnot, I think the biggest thing for me wasn't necessarily like the results, the physical results, or even the consistency. It was the consistency of joy that I saw. And I don't know why I'm being emotional about this. But it's like, growing up and always being the sporty, you get your workout in playing sports and never really enjoying the gym, or doing any type of workout. And I just didn't get it, and your family members, they just don't get it unless you keep showing up and showing the joy that it brings you. I think that's the biggest thing. And that one day, you just try, and you try it for yourself. You don't try it for your spouse, and it lights your soul on fire, and it makes a big difference, So, yeah, keep showing the joy that it brings you, and it'll pay off one day.
I love that. I love that so much. And I think one last thing I want to add with that is your workout bringing you joy? Because if it's not, you can absolutely change. Because we have like over 900 workouts in our library, right? And I've definitely tried those workouts where I'm like, I don't like this very much, right? And that's okay. You can try something new, right? So that you do consistently have that joy in your life, so that you can be the best version of you, right? So, okay, I love it. Before we close it out, I just want to make sure, does anybody else want to share anything? Because I've loved hearing from you guys. It's fun. Okay, I don't see anybody who's like looking at the camera, so no, okay, we're good. Okay, if you're on the recording, I love you. Go work out for you and lead by example. And if it's something that you want your spouse to do with you one day, just keep showing up. And then if he ever does join you, just appreciate that, right? And do your best every day to be grateful that you have that time together. Cool. Okay, I love you guys. If you're on the recording, I'll see you later. If you're on live, stay on live and we'll chat for a sec.